WINOL's cameras caught the action as the Prime Minister revealed how he plans to win the election.
Is to cut people's taxes and let them keep more of their own money.
The Tory hard sell continued. Next up was Employment Minister Esther McVey.
To hear about what sort of jobs they are full-time.
Jobs politics is shaking up Hampshire as an earthquake hits Winchester.
Destroy everything.
Eastleigh became the centre of the political world this week as senior Tories lined up ahead of the fast-approaching election. Brooke Perriam has this.
Prime Minister David Cameron knows that Eastleigh is one of the key seats the Conservatives have to win if they are to form the next government.
Today I want to talk about financial security. I want to talk about tax. And why this is so important is after the security of a job, the next best thing we can do is to cut people's taxes and let them keep more of their own money to spend as they choose.
Mr Cameron also spoke about his fears for what might happen if Labour was to form a coalition government.
If there was anyone in this room who thought the worst possible outcome of the election was an Ed Miliband-led Labour government, actually, I can now tell you something that would be even worse, and that is Ed Miliband in Downing Street, supported by the Scottish National Party, who want to break up our United Kingdom.
But it appeared there was one issue that dominated the day.
Tax cuts really, really important, and lifting people out of tax if you're a minimum wage is very, very important when you're really watching those finances. And people want to know that the politicians get that.
The Prime Minister has promised a series of tax cuts which have gone down well with the party faithful here in Bursledon. But will it be enough to persuade those all-important floating voters? Brooke Perriam, Winchester News Online.
Also in Eastleigh this week was Jobs Minister Esther McVey, who visited a local engineering factory to talk about unemployment figures.
Unemployment is at an all-time low. That's according to figures released by the Employment Secretary, Esther McVey. Since August 2009, the amount of people claiming job seekers allowance in Winchester has fallen from over 1,300 to only 378. The figures also show that just fewer than 83% of the city's population are earning an income and classified as economically active. That's far above both the national and the regional figures. However, critics claim that the figures have been manipulated, with the new jobs being in part-time, low-skilled or temporary work.
Jobs, 80% of those new jobs that we've got for people, nearly 2 million, are full-time jobs. 75% are managerial, high-skilled and professional. So the scare stories you hear and the myths you hear about what sort of jobs they are full-time and professional.
While most people would welcome the rise in employment figures, there are those who feel that there is yet more the government can do.
I feel I'd like to see the grants, I think it's £1,500, I should say, grant that's made available to businesses that take on an apprentice. I'd like to see that made available to all businesses.
The average wage is increasing, with some employers remaining sceptical of this. What is clear is that they must pay a competitive wage to attract those with the right skills.
Wages go up a little bit to support the skills and the improving skills in the workplace, then I think that's a good thing for everybody.
The Conservative Party will hope that the data will continue to show evidence that the economy is picking up as we move towards the general election. This is Ryan Hewlett, Winchester News Online, Eastleigh.
I'm now joined by our news editor, Laura Harding. So we've had David Cameron and another senior Tory minister coming to Eastleigh, and both of them are keen to talk about the economy. But what can we read into all this?
Well, it's a key seat for the Conservatives. It's currently held by the Lib Dems, but if David Cameron wants to return to Downing Street after May's general election, the Tories really need to win swing seats like Eastleigh. The Conservative strategy is to focus on the economy for two reasons. It's one of the key issues for voters, and with employment down, inflation down and growth up, they feel they're in a strong position to claim that they have delivered on their economic promises. But the other parties simply do not accept this. Labour say that government has failed to deal with the deficit, which was a key Tory pledge, while the Eastleigh MP Mike Thornton took to Twitter to claim Tories were taking credit for Lib Dem achievements. The figures put forward by Employment Secretary Esther McVey have also been criticised. Unison told me that yes, there are more jobs and more people working, but many of these jobs are part-time or zero-hour contracts. Unions also point out that the number of people using food banks is soaring. With the election only weeks away now, it's no wonder that every claim by politicians is being heavily scrutinised, especially in battleground seats like Eastleigh.
Thanks, Laura. Now, did the earth move for you? Well, if you were in Winchester last night, it probably did. It's hard to believe that the city was hit by an earthquake yesterday. Our environment correspondent Rebecca Herbert spoke to some of those who experienced it.
Jaden Carey was enjoying a quiet night in when the earthquake struck.
And then we just had this bang. It was like boxes falling off the shelf. The bang was noticeable because we had to stop and ask what it was.
At 6:30 I was swimming, and well, I didn't really directly feel it because obviously I was swimming. And then this morning everybody started talking about it.
It's scary that you could wake up one day and an earthquake or a hurricane or something could have just destroy everything and the cathedral will just be a pile of rocks.
The epicentre of the earthquake was just north of Winchester. Tremors were felt throughout the region as far away as Bath, Petersfield and Bournemouth. This was the scene at the epicentre this morning. Residents also took to social media to describe what happened. Overnight, there were fears over Winchester's cathedral.
With the scale of it, I think we might have seen a couple of panes of glass, little globules of glass maybe falling on the floor, but no, I think it's too far away.
British Geological Survey today warned there might be more tremors following on from last night's quake.
In the studio now is Lucy Wilson, who experienced it firsthand. How did the earthquake feel?
Well, it was pretty scary. I was in the house at the time and my whole family were in the house, all on different levels, upstairs and downstairs in different rooms, and we all felt it. It felt like the earth moved beneath our feet, and it also felt like a lorry had hit our house, so it was a sharp blast for about 5 to 10 seconds, so it was quite intense, I'd say.
So when you first felt it, you were the first one to break it to social media?
Yeah, well, after it happened, we looked around the house to see whether anything had happened to the house because we thought that it might have been an explosion or something else. So I wanted to find out whether it was an earthquake or whether it was an explosion. So I took to Twitter to find out if everybody else had tweeted about it. I was one of the first few, I believe, maybe the third to tweet, and then after that hundreds of tweets came in. So I knew from then that it was an earthquake.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today. And there was a royal visitor at Hampshire Hospital this morning to announce an initiative which could transform the lives of seriously ill young people. Ryan McAndrew was there.
Sophie, Countess of Wessex, visited Southampton General Hospital earlier today to officially open a new specialist cardiac unit. The 17-bed unit specifically caters for children, young adults and their families, and is the only one of its kind in the south. Ashton Hicks, a patient at the hospital, has fundraised for the new unit.
Cardiac patients out there feel like they're alone, and I want to do a CD to counteract that, so to think they're not alone, there is someone out there who's actually going through what I'm going through as well.
The NHS does a superb job, but we can enhance that through our fundraising.
Hundreds of young cardiac patients from across the south will benefit due to the opening of this specialist unit. Ryan McAndrew, Winchester News Online, Southampton.
Eastleigh could be banning lorries from its town centre during rush hour in a bid to reduce air pollution. Local businesses, however, are worried that the disruption to HGV routes will affect deliveries and cause employees to work unsociable hours. The plans are yet to be reviewed.
Wait, what is it?
Shock as 9 dogs are dumped around Winchester in appalling condition. When found, the dogs were unrecognisable. They were unable to see and struggled to walk. Nearly £4,000 has been raised by the public to find out what happened to these pups. Chris Hellinger, founder of Copperfield Charity, held a talk with primary education students at the University of Winchester about teaching cancer in schools.
It's important because we get messages from people saying I was diagnosed early because of you.
And in other news, a Winchester doctor is going to West Africa to volunteer in the fight against Ebola. Our reporter Henry Nixon has this.
Dr Suktan Kar currently works at Salisbury District Hospital. In 2 weeks she'll be in Kerrytown, Sierra Leone, fighting the lethal Ebola virus.
I decided kind of when I started medicine that I was going to go and do things and save the world, and I've left it a bit of a long time, to be honest. So I just decided that It was about time I went. It was easy to go because it's been set up by the UK government. It's funded.
So far, 3,145 people have died in Sierra Leone, but progression of the virus is slowing, with new cases reaching an all-time low earlier this month. Back in Salisbury, Dr. Suktankar's colleagues are supportive of a trip to West Africa.
I think it's a great thing for her to do. She's a brilliant clinician. She'll be awesome out there.
Ebola has devastated West Africa. However, that's not what Priya fears.
I think my biggest worry about going there is that I'm not going to be able to help as much as I want to. I might get bored because the hours will be shorter than I'm used to. And I'll see a lot of people that I'll have to turn away and not be able to help, and I'm not used to that.
Dr. Suktankar there. And to see how she gets on, you can check out her column on our WINOL website. And now, over to sports correspondent Rachel Gunter with the sport.
Thanks. We start with Saturday's clash near the top of the Conference South between two promotion hopefuls. A win for Basingstoke Town would send them second in the table and close the gap on leaders Boreham Wood. Bromley was also looking to go second, but had travelled to the Soccer AM Stadium in poor form, having lost their last 4 games in all competitions. Roger Cannon was there to watch the action unfold.
Basingstoke and Bromley went head-to-head at the Soccer AM Stadium in a clash of promotion, and after good work from Chris Flood, the Dragons took the lead through Sean McCauley. The visitors replied instantly as Anthony Cook's curling free kick found its way past Stuart Moore. And it was Cook who gave his new club the lead early in the second half, as his speculative effort eluded Moore and nestled into the net. Cook with a brace, and only a second game for the Ravens. Tom Bird was perhaps lucky to stay on the pitch, as his dangerous challenge on Cook angered Bromley players and fans alike. But the referee saw fit to only give him a yellow card. With 10 minutes to go, Basingstoke almost went level through Bromley's Callum McNaughton. The defender diverted a dangerous cross towards his own goal, but debutant keeper Alan Julian tipped it expertly over the bar. Roderick Cadden, Winchester News Online.
The Keys Swimming and Diving Complex in Southampton welcomed Red Bull cliff diving world champion Gary Hunt to its facilities on Sunday. Hunt, who has won 4 Red Bull world titles and won back his title after finishing second last year, was there to coach and inspire the next generation of divers. Afzal Zumra was on hand to catch up with him.
Gary Hunt was at the Keys Swimming and Diving Complex in Southampton to pass on his knowledge and expertise to several young divers.
I was never the best in the world in my age group. I was never the best in the world when I got into the seniors. It was just my love of the sport that kept me going when I didn't really see a future for myself in the sport. I just try and spread the message that even if you're having bad days, you're not very confident. Just as long as you're enjoying it, then it can take you places, and that's the key.
It's clear to see that Gary is an inspiration to the children here, but only time will tell if any of these youngsters can dive into success and become the next world champion cliff diver. Afzal Zumra, Winchester News Online, Southampton.
That's all from sports this week. Back to the studio.
And finally, a look at this week's features with our features editor, Beth Tremling.
This week in W2 magazine. In health and fitness, Ellie gives us her top 5 tips for running your first 5k.
Tip 1, have a good warm-up routine. Start by stretching out your leg muscles. And then before you start to run, walk quickly for 5 minutes.
Our fashion editor Caroline shows us exactly what's trending this season.
I've got quite a diverse taste in music.
Hattie goes behind the scenes to interview the up-and-coming band, the Whale Tones, at the Coffee House Sessions. And Lauren
goes on an adventure to Sparsholt College for the Landing Day. For more, go to www.winol.co.uk/here-and-now.
Prime Ministers, royalty and an earthquake. It's been an incredible week in Hampshire, but remember there's always more. Do check out our award-winning website, winol.co.uk. Goodbye.